Hi everybody, welcome to my homestead and welcome to my channel. My name is Jared. In this video, we're going to talk about a few different things, starting with the Kirtland temple possibly being sold to the church. There is reason to believe that that may be the case, and I'm about to show you that in just a little bit. We're going to do an update with what's going on in Maui and Lahaina, the death toll, and I have a new picture of the chapel there that I want to share with you. Also, a disaster that took place in Ottawa, the capital of Canada. So yet another capital city that's recently been affected by some kind of disaster. We're going to be looking at Morocco. There's two interesting things that happened there recently. The Saratoga Springs Temple was dedicated just yesterday. And so we're going to look at some interesting statistics when it comes to the number of temples in the church and President Nelson and how many he's announced, and just some really interesting stuff. All right, so we're going to first start with this email. Okay, subject line: Kirtland Temple. Jared, hey there, brother. Word on the street is that the church just purchased the Kirtland Temple from the Church of Christ. Of course, he's referring to the Community of Christ. I'm sure an announcement will follow soon, or possibly at conference. Pretty exciting stuff. To my knowledge, there's nothing exactly related to the Kirtland Temple. There's nothing exactly related to the Kirtland Temple and the Second Coming, other than I believe it said that we would one day own it again. I'm not sure if you know anymore. Yeah, not at the moment. I don't know about that, but I wouldn't be surprised if that's been said somewhere. If you know, you watching, put it in the comments below. Thanks for all you do, Jared. Hurrah for Israel, your brother. P.S. I should probably remain anonymous. Okay, so it's rumor. Take it with a grain of salt. But if you'll recall, if you've been watching the channel for a little while, I actually interviewed, this was 6 months ago, I interviewed Linda L. Booth, who is the former president of the Council of the 12 Apostles of the Community of Christ, and we talked about things. Very interesting interview. And I've looked at the Community of Christ financial updates, not so much like statements or financial reports or anything, but like statements that they, or updates that they have on the website. And so I want to do a quick recap of that. And there's a new one that's actually pretty noteworthy. I'm going to save that for last. We're going to do this in chronological order, and then you can see why the sale of the Kirtland Temple is actually, it's most likely a possibility. I wouldn't be surprised if they have sold it by this point. Okay, so I'm going to start back in December of 2022. By the way, they have like this main part of their website called Financial Updates. So this is where I'm getting all this information from. You can go back, So we're just going to start in December. I'm going to be looking at the old highlights that are still here from the last time I did a video about this. So in December, it says here as one of the bullet points, in November, the presiding bishopric sold the Stebbins Book of Commandments to a private collector for $1.2 million. The net proceeds were used to increase the temple endowment. So this was a quote-unquote historical asset that they had, that they sold. Because they've sold stuff to us. I can't remember what it was that they sold. It was like a printing press or something like that. I cover it in this video right here. So if you want to like see all the details what I uncovered last time, watch this video. But so they sold this to a private collector. They've sold stuff to us already. Let's move on. Let's see this. What is this from? I have to go back to the top. Financial update, June 2022. I have that out of order. I'm sorry. Okay. So in this PDF, this is what they have. The church continues to make progress on the second goal of Bridge of Hope. The Bridge of Hope. This is basically like a fund. It's an account or a fund where how they fund their retirees. Because they have people that have retired that worked for the church, including the leadership of the church. Like, for example, Linda L. Booth, she no longer is the president of the Council of the 12 Apostles, and so she's retired, but she still gets paid retirement. Okay, so to build up the endowments, the primary focus is on the temple endowment. Through designated contributions, bequests, and earnings, church endowments continue to grow. In 2021, the temple endowment increased by over $5.6 million, and the worldwide mission endowment increased over $700,000. Since the presiding bishopric has exceeded their retirement possibility target, future undesignated bequest, as well as the possible sale of historic assets, and that would include the Kirtland Temple, by the way. It is in that category. There is actually a financial statement that I looked at where they have that under historic assets. Okay. So anyway, the possible sale of historic assets will be used to grow the endowments. So selling their historical items, property, whatever. Once the retirement responsibility targets are met in the fields, the use of net proceeds for world church portions will shift to growing the endowments. All right, so that's interesting. And I think they mentioned this one more time. It's basically just a repetition. It's part of like a summary of what's in the update. Okay, so that was from the June, and also in the June 2022 financial update, there's this bullet point list. On this bullet point, it says, mission tithes are the primary way mission is funded both locally and globally. And of course, when they say mission, they don't have missionaries like we do. That's like what they refer to as like, from what I gather after talking to Linda, it seems like a mission is kind of like different areas of the world. So like how we have like Area 70s and our church has it divided up into areas. It's kind of like that. That's like a mission. So anyway, so you could say like local or area tithing is a primary way areas of the church are funded both locally and globally. Connecting with contributors under the age of 50 remains a priority. Why is that? It's because the younger generations are becoming more secular. And we actually talked about that in our interview with Linda Booth. She was talking about how her son is essentially kind of like stepping away from the church. I think it was her son, so forgive me if I got that wrong, but you'll just have to watch the interview. She was talking about how the younger generations aren't really seeing a need to go to organized churches anymore. And that's not really a surprise because that's kind of a worldwide trend, or at least a trend within Christianity. Churches are essentially disintegrating, including the community of Christ. So that's a problem, because if you want to remain an organization, well, you have to have some kind of income. You have to have tithing to operate. And so if the future generations are no longer really participating in the church, or they're not paying tithing, then how are you going to go forward? You know? And I don't know, I'm not like an expert on the community of Christ, but like from what I've seen, they've really veered away from what they once were as the RLDS church, or the Reorganized Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. This is the group that, in case you don't know, if you don't even know what I'm talking about, I should probably have done this in the beginning. Let's see, Independence, Missouri. Let's go to the map. Sorry, I should have done this at the beginning. I just assumed everybody would know, but because I've already done like a billion videos about this area right here. Okay, so here is Independence, Missouri, and this is the part of Independence where you have the three different churches. You have the Church of Christ Temple Lot that owns the original lot of the first temple of the 24 temple complex that was supposed to be built as part of the city of New Jerusalem. It would have been built right here. We have our land right here. We have the Independence Visitor Center, which was built to be part of the 24 temple complex. Just go to Independence Visitor Center. I have a playlist called Independence Visitor Center. I'm not going to go back and show you that that's the case, but the Interpreter Foundation has that on their website. It's recorded in the diary of Alvin R. Dyer, He was in the first presidency at the time that they constructed this, and this is designed to be part of the 24 temple complex. So it would seem that that's still the plan. So you have us right here. You have the Church of Christ Temple lot right here. They're a very, 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 very tiny church. And I've been wanting to maybe like talk to one of their people because on their church website, they have the phone numbers for the leadership. So I might reach out and see if I can interview one of them. Okay, but the church, the Community of Christ, formerly known as the RLDS Church, it's these guys right here. They have their temple, and then catty corner, they have the auditorium, which is essentially their conference center. And this is who we're talking about. So this group, they're the ones that own the Kirtland Temple. And for them, temples are not at all the same thing as what they are in our church. In fact, they don't even, from what I understand, talking to Linda and hearing other people, they don't really even do any services or anything in the Kirtland Temple. Correct me if I'm wrong, but essentially it's more just like a museum. They use the Kirtland Temple as a museum and to earn money for the church, from people that come and visit it. Probably mostly people from our church. So they're not really doing anything with it, but this is the group right here. It's a group that seems to kind of be disintegrating, and they're having some financial problems. So here you go. Okay, so they're having issues with the younger generations. Okay, the December, oh my gosh, I have this all out of order. What the heck? Okay, it doesn't matter. It's fine. You can still see the issues going on. Okay, thanks to the generosity of many, worldwide mission tithes, or just general church funds, basically, are projected to be within the 2021 goal of da-da-da-da-da-da. So back then, like, it's kind of okay. Okay, now let's skip to, oh my gosh, I messed this all up. Okay, let's just skip forward. Let's skip forward to the most recent update, June 2023 financial update. Okay. Sorry that I had that out of order. I could have sworn that I had it in order, but I guess I messed it up. Okay, so let's go to the basic, the highlights before we get into the PDF. So this bullet point says worldwide mission tithes through May totaled 3.7 million, which is 15% or 650,000 behind the goal for 2023. So far, not looking too good this year. These challenges and opportunities will be a focus for the presiding bishopric. 1. Engage new generations of disciples and seekers in our transforming mission, including whole life stewardship response. Now, being that this is a financial update, I can only assume that they included that because if you have a disciple that's living a whole life stewardship response, as they say, then that would probably include tithing. So new generations, and I'm assuming here, trying to get them to fully live the teachings of the Community of Christ, including paying tithing. Okay, number 2, explore and implement new sources of income. Explore and implement new sources of income to build endowments and sustain focused support of our global mission. Number 3, explore and implement new partnership models to share gifts of ministry, story leadership, and finances across fields, mission centers, and congregations in a decentralized church structure. I don't know what that means. It says explore and implement new models. And that includes congregations in a decentralized church structure. So I don't know if that means like, okay, it's like it's hard to like operate as a centralized church, because that's like how our church is, right? Everything's run from Salt Lake. That's church headquarters. Whereas I know that there's other churches out there that, it's more of like a loose federation of congregations that all share the name, I don't know. I don't even have an example, but maybe this is the way that they're moving from a less centralized church to a more decentralized church, where it's like, okay, you're responsible for your own area, for example. You get what I'm saying? So now let's look at the details. Well, just a couple things I want to point out. Okay, so in 2025, will the beginning of a new... Oh, wait. In 2020... Okay. In 2025 will be the beginning of a new multi-year budget cycle. The presiding bishopric continues to explore ways to maximize use of all available assets, including the Kirtland Temple, right? To address declining worldwide mission tithe trends. If trends continue, a significant budget reduction will be required. This will affect services and ministries funded by the worldwide mission budget. Okay? So surely they see that the writing is on the wall. I'm not sure anyone, even though they might try and work with the youth, I'm not sure anybody... I don't know. I guess there's always hope. But, they've decided to kind of go more the way of mainstream Christianity. They've added the cross. When you watch their services, it feels like just any other evangelical type service, And if like these even larger churches, bigger than the community of Christ, are struggling and disintegrating, and more people are going non-denominational or just going alone, going it alone, their own little private church, just one person church, then I don't know. It doesn't seem to me like the trend's going to change, but it could. Who knows? All right, so there's that, and then later on in this PDF it says, explore and implement new sources of income to build endowments and sustain focused support of our global mission. We will continue to evaluate how we utilize all assets while exploring and implementing new sources of income. This will include new funding models and creative approaches to attract funding to various aspects of our mission that have appeal beyond traditional forms of organized religion. We will also explore entrepreneurial opportunities that embody our enduring principles and have the potential of generating new sources of income. All right, so they're just trying to figure out how to stay afloat, it seems. Number 4, increase effective utilization of our facilities, including international headquarters facilities for mission. Stewardship of our physical assets requires effective use of facilities for mission across the church, including the temple complex. We will support ways to expand utilization of the temple and auditorium as a center for community life, formation, and mission. In the future, we will continue to evaluate the best use of physical assets to support mission. In some cases, this evaluation will lead to the conversion. Now look at this. This is maybe the key out of everything that we're talking about in this video about the Kirtland Temple. In some cases, this evaluation will lead to the conversion of physical assets, such as buildings and property, to liquid assets, so those funds can be used for new mission opportunities well into the future. So liquid assets, if you're not familiar with this terminology, that's like going to cash, because cash is considered an asset. You can have physical assets, you can have what's it called, intellectual property, that's considered an asset, like logos and trademarks and registered stuff like that. When we're talking about accounting, this is one of the types of assets, is cash, right? So it's like it's a way of saying selling stuff because we need money. It's what it's saying right here. Selling property and buildings because we need money. So I'm not so sure that Anonymous is too far off and that this is a not credible rumor. I don't know what anonymous means by word on the street. I don't even know where anonymous is from, who anonymous is connected to, but I don't know. It seems to line up with the Community of Christ's most recent financial update. I don't know how something like that would play out. So let's say that anonymous is right. I don't know if that's something that would be kept secret or could be kept. I'm sure that it could. It's like a private transaction. I don't know if there are reporting requirements. I'm not I'm not an accountant. I ended up changing my major, so I never became an accountant, and I'm not a legal expert. I didn't go into business, but I don't know if like they could do this. Like, if you know, put it in the comments below. Could the church buy the Kirtland temple and then keep it a secret, for lack of a better word, until General Conference, because they want to make that announcement at General Conference? But probably, I would assume that they could. So I think that was pretty much it. Let's just read. This is the last one. I just did a search for assets, and there's 9 times in this document that it shows up. Our vision continues to push us beyond the limits of our imagination to consider where God is calling us next on our journey of discovery and mission. Sorry, just our church doesn't talk like that. This is just like very. Okay, whatever. This is what moves us to expand our true capacity in every dimension of our lives according to the desires of our hearts. According to the desires of our hearts. This is what compels us to make challenging decisions about how we best use all our assets in response to the Spirit's persistent invitation to walk with Jesus, the peaceful one. They say this a lot. Jesus, the peaceful one. And I'm not sure so far I've seen like the Savior, the Redeemer, anything like that. Jesus, the peaceful one. Okay. So yeah, thanks Anonymous for sharing this with us. I hope that it's true. I really, really do. Only time will tell. Thank you. Okay, the next one. I got this email from Justin Fennis. He's been watching the channel for a long time. And he says, "Hey, buddy, we have some friends that were in Lahaina during the fire. They lost everything, but I thought this picture was really cool to share with you. Just showing the fire up to the chapel. Quite a miracle. Thanks for all you do, my friend." Yep. It's stunning. It really is. Then not just one, but both chapels survived this. When everything around them destroyed, except for a handful of other structures. There were some other structures, but the vast majority of Lahaina was destroyed. And among the things that were not destroyed, the 2 chapels and the banyan tree. Oh, and it says, "Love ya, Justin and Kara." Thank you so much. So let's see what the update is. This is USA Today. I'm sure you've already seen this before now, but in case you haven't. Okay, Lahaina, Hawaii. A Maui Fire authorities. What? Okay, Maui Fire authorities deemed to be outroared to back. Okay, am I just losing my mind right now? This doesn't seem like a sentence. Maui Fire authorities, quote unquote, deemed to be out. Oh, okay. A Maui Fire authorities deemed to be out, roared to back to life last week, fueling the inferno that claimed at least 96 lives in this historic oceanside town, Governor Josh Green said late Sunday. So now it's at 86. I can't quite remember what it was last time I did a video, but I think it was like 80 something. It was still less than the Paradise, California fire. Let's just remind ourselves what that was at. The death toll for that was 85. So this is now, in terms of death toll, a worse disaster than Paradise, California. As far as buildings go, Paradise lost 18,804 buildings. So it's not even close to that in Lahaina. So the buildings destroyed was way more with Paradise, California. And I think it mentions it here. Yeah, more than 2,700 structures. So compare 2,700 to 18,804. But it was deadlier. Okay. So more than 2,700 structures were destroyed in Lahaina, and an estimated value of $5.6 billion, quote unquote, has gone away, Green said in a video posted on social media. He said the search for human remains was continuing across the devastated town, and the death toll was likely to rise. Obviously, I think it's probably a worse situation, a worse disaster when you have more loss of life. You know, not that it's not like we're competing between fires, but this is probably more horrendous as far as lives shattered, because when someone dies, you don't get them back until you yourself go to the spirit world or until the resurrection happens. And of course, you can still feel their presence, so you don't completely lose them, of course, but you know what I mean. So, gosh, this is just crazy. So there is this other aspect that we read here on Reuters. It says, the Maui wildfires in Hawaii have killed at least 96, making it the deadliest U.S. wildfire in more than a century, with the total likely to rise as cadaver dogs sift through the ruins of the historic resort city of Lahaina. The Peshtigo fire in Wisconsin started October 8th, 1871, and killed 1,152, according to the National Fire Protection Association. At the time, Peshtigo was permanent home to about 2,000 people, although its population swelled with immigrants looking for work in the lumbering, manufacturing, and railroad industries. Anyway, they have a graph here. After that, you have the Cloquet, Minnesota fire, 453. Hinckley, Minnesota. Dang, what's going on in that part of the country? Wisconsin and Minnesota are right next to each other. If you're not familiar, if you're outside of our country. So anyway, Maui, Hawaii. It's currently right here. I've heard some different YouTube channels saying that they believe that it's up in the hundreds. One guy was like, it's more like 600 or something like that. If that's the case, it's going to bring it to the number 2 spot. I don't know if this will exceed the Peshtigo, Wisconsin fire, but it's anyway. I don't know how long it's going to take before we have the final numbers. But right now, we're at 96. So let's pray that number does not go up. It's already bad enough. It's just unbelievable. But anyway, the Lord is there in Lahaina, and a lesson I think can be drawn from this as we look at these 2 chapels and the banyan tree and the lighthouse that survived. Hopefully we take this as a warning and take it seriously. Not just people in Hawaii, obviously, but the entire world. Okay, we're going to move on to the next email. This is from Karen Howard. She says, I did not know this. And then she quotes from an article from Deseret News. Quote, since becoming church president in January 2018, less than 6 years ago, President Russell M. Nelson has announced 133 new temples, or 42% of the 315 total temples. So that's almost half within 6 years. Half within 6 year. Temples almost doubled the total number of temples. Of those 133, five are already dedicated. Another 5 are scheduled for dedication. 44 are under construction, and 2 are scheduled for groundbreaking ceremonies. So here's the article. Saratoga Springs, Utah temple becomes 18th in Beehive State, which is quite a bit. The temple was dedicated Sunday by President Henry B. Eyring of the First Presidency. This is my mom and stepdad's temple. They live there in Saratoga Springs, so I know that they're happy about it. They went through the open house. So this is actually my most recent entry on my Second Coming timeline. So Saratoga Springs, Utah temple. And then I went through and I just verified again to make sure that the other temples scheduled to be dedicated, that everything has remained the same, and it looks like it is. I use this website, churchofjesuschristtemples.org, probably the best LDS temple website out there. Whoever runs that website is doing a really good job. So what we have upcoming is President Nelson's going to turn 99 in less than a month now on September 9th. After that, we have the Brasilia, Brazil temple, and that's the one that looks like the BYU Jerusalem Center. It looks very, very similar to the BYU Jerusalem Center with this arcade feature right here, and then how it has kind of like the blocky, like the 3-tier blocky top. Let me pull up and see. BYU Jerusalem Center. See that right there? I've done videos about this. I recently spoke to Dan Peterson, Daniel C. Peterson, and he's essentially an academic, and he's been to Jerusalem, and he teaches Arabic and Islamic studies and stuff having to do with the Near East. He's not of the opinion that this will become the temple. I still hold to my opinion that I think that it could be, but I have a whole playlist that explains why, so I'm not going to go over that here. But it has to do with the architecture, for example, of the temple, comparing that to the Independence Visitor Center, and many, many, many other details. I'm not going to cover that all here. Just go see my playlist called BYU Jerusalem Center. But coming up, we have this temple that very strongly resembles the BYU Jerusalem Center in the capital of Brazil. This is a capital city temple. And if this becomes a temple, well, Jerusalem is a capital city, and it'll be, in fact, one of two world capitals during the millennium. So it's weird. It's interesting. Okay, so we got Brasilia, Brazil coming up, and on that same day, there's 2 other temples. So all on the 17th, the Bentonville, Arkansas temple, the Moses Lake, Washington temple, and then the month after that, in October, on the same day, you have Feather River, California, and then McAllen, Texas, and then later in the month, we have the Bangkok, Thailand temple, and then, I have that out of order. Before the Bangkok temple is dedicated, we have this really interesting eclipse that's going to be taking place, the one that goes through Utah in Corpus Christi, Texas. Corpus Christi meaning body of Christ. So what a lot of us feel is a very significant eclipse that seems to be maybe part of the same series as the one in 2017 and the one coming up in 2024. After Bangkok, we have Okinawa, Japan, and then as of right now, that will be the last one dedicated this year. And then starting in January, on January 14th of next year, you have Lima, Peru, Los Olivos temple, and then on the 21st of January, the Orem, Utah temple. And those are the only temples so far that have dedication dates that are set. But just interesting things coming up. keep an eye on. Okay, now let's go to Twitter really quick. Looking at my profile. If you have Twitter, you've probably already seen a lot of these videos, but if not, you can follow my Twitter, and I try and retweet all the just significant stories and especially videos of certain events. This, of course, is Lahaina, the people jumping into the ocean to save themselves, and it looks like just apocalyptic. It literally looks apocalyptic, the way that you classically think of, the last days. So we have this story coming out of Morocco. So they broke a heat record, 50.2 degrees Celsius and 22.4 degrees Fahrenheit. So let's go to that really quick. I got a Yahoo News article up through AFP. I don't know who that is. Okay, it doesn't matter. Who cares? Morocco breaks heat record. Temperatures in Morocco have for the first time on record topped 50 degrees Celsius or 120 degrees Fahrenheit. The North African country's meteorological service said Sunday amid a scorching heat wave. The I struggle with this word. Meteorological station in the southern coastal city of Agadir recorded on Friday the new national record of 50.4. What did this thing say on? This one says 50.2. So that didn't even. I guess it wasn't over yet. 50.2 compared to what this article is saying, 50.4. Let's see, 50.4 Celsius to Fahrenheit. Yeah, it's still 122 degrees Fahrenheit, but closer, almost all the way to 123 degrees Fahrenheit. Morocco has experienced a series of heat waves over the summer with record-breaking temperatures. The previous highest temperature, 49.9 degrees Celsius in the western Sahara city of Smara, was recorded on July 13th, according to the Weather Service. So it was already broken back in July, just like a month ago, but then it went up even higher over the weekend. So that's crazy. Okay. I got this email from CO2MC number 26. Hey Jared, I love listening to your channel. I listen to it. I listen to it every day when I'm at work, so I love the longer videos. Yeah, by the way, in regards to the length of my videos, I know there's a number of you that prefer the shorter videos because of time constraints or whatever. Sorry, it's just not going to work out that way. I experimented with it, and it seems like this is the best way to go. I have the time and the motivation to do about 2 hours worth of content every day. That way it gives you a choice. Like if one looks more interesting to you, then you can pick one of the two, or, whatever. Let me say this. At nighttime, my wife and I, as we're getting ready to go to bed, we usually watch our favorite YouTube channels. And nothing is more frustrating to me than when they don't have enough videos. Like, because we basically binge watch a few channels. And then when we watch them all, it's just like, when's he going to put out another video? So hopefully that's the case with some of you. And hopefully there's never a lack of content for you to watch. But there's just so many things that I want to cover, and I like to do it. I like to look into them thoroughly, and I don't have time to put together PowerPoint presentations or animations or whatever the case may be. This is just what works best. And it seems like it's working. There's people always joining the channel, so it must be okay. So I apologize for anybody that wants shorter videos, but that's probably it's not going to happen at this point. I think I've finally found a good, groove, after doing this for a few years. In fact, August of 2021 is when I started this channel. So it has now been 2 years. I can't remember the exact day. I think it was like the 21st of 2021. But I'm now at 2 years doing this channel, and always experimenting with things, trying out new stuff, and right now I think that this is pretty good. Okay, so anyway, I just saw a video about a sandstorm in Marrakesh, Morocco, and residents and articles said that it blotted out the sun and turned the skies red/orange. I thought this would be interesting considering what just took place in Hawaii. Thank you so much. Uh, keep doing what you're doing. Oh, thank you. So he provides an article. Um, Basically, it doesn't seem like it was like, unprecedented. It wasn't like record breaking, but it was, it made news. And let me just show you some videos because the picture here doesn't do it justice. There's a video, but I'm not going to play this video. Let's go to Twitter. Oh yeah, by the way, the protests in Israel, they're still going on. So even though we haven't talked about them, even though the quote unquote siege on Jerusalem didn't become, it didn't like escalate to the point of the second coming, the protests are still going on. So that's still simmering in the background. Ammon Bundy was arrested. He commented on one of my videos, by the way, one time. I was able to verify that. Ammon Bundy. More of the protests. See, this is just like from a couple days ago. Here's another video of Lahaina and people in the water. This is just so unbelievable. It's like out of a movie. Flooding in Russia. I don't know where this is, but I just thought I'd share this. Just whenever there's crazy flooding like this, I think that we should take notice. I think that we should take notice, even if it's not record-breaking, even if it's not unprecedented. When things like this happen, and the more of it that we see, I think the more sure we can be that the second coming is around the corner. We're going to come back to that one in just a minute, and that one, well, this is in Mexico, August 11th, so like 3 days ago when this was posted. A hailstorm flow through the hailstone. Okay, the hailstorm flow through a street in the Amalucan area in Puebla, Mexico. My gosh, that is crazy looking. This is Lahaina again as the fire was starting. Crazy fire in Glendale, Arizona. I used to live by here. Okay, here we go. Here's Marrakesh, Morocco. Oh my gosh, look at that. That looks like an alien planet from a Avengers movie. Look how red that is. That is truly apocalyptic looking. So obviously there's always going to be sandstorms in places like this. So for example, in Phoenix, you always have dust storms that roll through. But anyway, this was, it's pretty dramatic, and I'm going to take note. And it's interesting that it's happening at the same time that Morocco broke that the heat record was broken in Morocco. I think I have one other. This is also the Glendale fire. There's the banyan tree. Yeah, just blatant crime going on. I'm sure you've seen this story. The Westfield Topanga Mall in California. Just a big group of people just going in and just looting the place. Just not even, there's not even riots going on or anything like that. Just going in and just, robbing it. Here's some guys in California stealing stuff out of somebody's car as they were fueling. All right, here's a different video. This is also Marrakesh, Morocco. A different video. I would take it serious. All these different cities this year in particular, where the moon is turning to blood, the sun is being darkened. I would take it seriously when this increases in frequency, and it has this year. All right, so let's go back to that video of this flooding right here. This is in Ottawa, the capital of Canada. This is Ottawa, and you can see that this is like some kind of business building. So it wasn't like record-breaking that I could see. I pulled up an article. I was actually preparing to talk about this on Saturday, but anyway, nothing like unprecedented or record-breaking or anything like that, but another disaster in a capital city, making this the most recent entry on my capital city disasters spreadsheet. This is on August 10th. And what's interesting is that Ottawa is already on here a couple other times. Let's see. Ottawa. So we have this flooding that just took place in Ottawa. And then we had that, what they call a rare tornado that took place in, this actually would have been the metro, I think. I'm going to put a yes for that. But in the Ottawa area, the metro, there was a rare tornado that took place. This was last month on the 13th of July. And then the month before that, Ottawa saw the Canadian wildfire smoke. Or at least this is the first mention that I've seen, the first article that I've seen saying that they were experiencing the Canadian wildfire smoke, an event which darkened the sun and turned the moon to blood. So, yeah, so Ottawa, the capital of Canada, is on here 3 times. June, July, and now August. So I don't know. I don't know what to tell you. I'm still just like stunned that I've been able to put together this spreadsheet. And there are so many entries. We're just focusing on capital cities, not even major cities. We don't have Barcelona on here. The capital of Madrid or of Spain is Madrid. We don't have Manchester on here. We don't have, Frankfurt or anything like that. New York City. These are just capital cities. Look how much is happening. All within the last few months. With the exception of, maybe like these first 2. But even starting here, starting at the beginning of the year, so just take this last line off here. Let's just look at 2023 and look at everything that's happened to all these capital cities. I don't, now to be fair, I haven't been keeping this spreadsheet for very long, but I'm going to use common sense and say that this probably isn't normal. I don't think that it's normal for Beijing to have the heaviest rainfall since records began and insane, crazy flooding. And I don't think that it's normal for Moscow to have crazy flash flooding in the streets. And then so many other things. A lot of these are, well, at least a handful of these, maybe half of these are like record-breaking events that I have on here. Salt Lake City is on here a few times. Let's see. Salt Lake City. My hometown. Really, it's Murray. It's like after South Salt Lake, then you have Murray. That's where I'm from. But you have Salt Lake City with the flooding on the 3rd of August. That was in the metro area. That was like actually more in like Draper, but so Salt Lake City with this record temperature of 106 on that Saturday. Salt Lake City, another record broken, another high temperature. And then Salt Lake City also experienced the Canadian wildfire smoke. It was actually one of the first cities to experience the Canadian wildfire smoke. Oh boy. Boy, oh boy. Okay. Well, that's going to be it for this one. So, if you haven't already, please make sure to subscribe, like this video if you liked it, leave your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. Also make sure to share it, and I'll talk to you guys later.